I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but I just like make it up. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Venga Dragon, and I am here with the legendary Ecore 100. Yeah, you know him from the channel. We're going to do part 2 of the video. You can also see part 1 if you haven't seen it already over on Ecore's channel. I am Venga Dragon, part of Hype Horizen, and this is the Hearthstone Meta Hype show. I'd like to talk about a couple of things, and first thing before we do it, I just got a new microphone. This microphone here, we're testing it out, and it's from FIFINE Electronics. FIFINE Electronics is sponsoring Hype Horizen too, which is pretty cool. They sent us out some microphones to do a giveaway, so we're going to be doing those on the channel. And there's a lot of things that are going on the channel as well, on this website. First thing I want to talk about is just the Hearthstone Meta Report, which came out on September 25th. That's something that we're going to do each time. But before I get to that, I want to see what's going on with Ecore. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I read the nerfs that came out, and I was so excited. People were telling me, like, hey, did you read those? And ever since yesterday, I've been, like, kind of excited for Hearthstone again, now that I know that some of the, like, most toxic things are going to be gone.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
You got to be excited, man, because, you know, the funny thing is I knew there was some kind of nerf because, like, I was on Twitter, and I just hear my Twitter kind of follow a lot of people that are like chronic complainers, and seriously, my Twitter account was blowing up. I could hear a bing, 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 right? All these notifications. No, yeah. I thought there gotta be there has to be something going on in Hearthstone. And before I knew it, I saw just sort of words, you know, balance changes. That's what, you know, that's the very chic way to say nerf is
nerfs.
You know, yeah, you got those.
Sometimes people, some buffs though, not this time, but balance changes can go both ways.
Yes, balance changes instead of nerfs, but. So we were talking about on the September 25th Hype Horizen Meta Report, which comes out every week. It kind of not much has really changed. You know, they just went over. It was written by Cool Kid, who's high level player and he's pretty cool. But he put Tempo Mage at number 1, and he put Soul Demon Hunter as number 2 on the tier 1 decks. And then other than that, Bomb Warrior, Survival Druid, and Face Hunter in those order. You could check that out on the website. But speaking of Druid, I know you hate Druid, but do you hate Druid as much anymore, Ecore?
No. I do not. I think that the nerf, for those of you who don't know, the Guardian Animals nerf was making it go from 7 cost to 8 cost. I think that is good. It's a thing that people were literally asking for since almost like day or week 1. And I will say the nerf feels a little bit lazy. I don't know how you would necessarily nerf something like this other than making it cost 1 more. My idea had always been, instead of giving them rush, give them taunt or something, because Guardian Animals implies like protectors, and that's kind of like a taunt. It just made more sense like flavor wise. Yeah. And rush didn't make as much sense. And I think taunt would still allow them to get minions out on the board so you don't just lose to aggro. I feel like this change just means the extra turn aggro has to kill them is just going to be really, really devastating. Whereas if it stayed at turn 7 but taunt instead of rush, like, it would just be better, because aggro decks wouldn't be able to just kill them immediately because they have to wait 1 more turn. But aggro decks also don't lose their board to 2, 4, 6 cleave minions, just decimating everything. Like, it would be a good balance that way. So, I don't know. I like the nerf, though. I like that they target the cards, and it's fine.
Yeah, well, we had talked about it, like, on last week's episode. We talked about that there was some balance changes, and we were talking about the nerfs from the last time. And I was thinking, though, that most of the time it seems like that it's not necessarily the cards that like Guardian is not necessarily the biggest problem. The biggest problem with it is the supporting cards. You get 2 5-mana minions with rush that don't normally have rush, and one that can literally, you can just, you know, ram it into the lowest cost minion on the board and take out the 2 biggest ones. I mean, so rush factor is just super powerful. And I agree with you that giving them rush also gives that card a draw as well, and it also gives it, because
they gave Rush to a minion not only with Cleave to kill off multiple things, but also a minion that says when it attacks, draw 2 cards. Like, that's 7 mana, essentially draw 4, basically, if you get one of those out, because you get 2 cards out of your deck that can attack, and then you draw 2 more. I don't know. I think that Rush was always a terrible idea for that card.
Yeah, that it was should have. So I agree with you on that. I think that it would have been nice maybe to just give them taunt or whatever in the flavor text of being a Guardian card, a Guardian Druid. Or even in Hunter, you can play it, right? Because I think it can be used in the Hunter class too, right?
No, yeah, nobody does, but it can be.
Now it might be, right? No, but
I don't think so.
I thought that what you should do is really, at 8 mana instead. But it being the rush is really bad. But going from 7 mana to 8 will, like you said, it'll just give a little extra time for you to perhaps set up a board or kind of know what's going to come. Like, in other words, like, you're not rushing yourself to establish a board presence. I mean, you can rush to establish a board presence because you know that you might have one extra turn before you get cleaved. So it's
It doesn't feel like you're on as short of a clock anymore. Obviously, you're still on a clock, but instead of having it happen turn 5 after Overgrowth, it's probably 6 or 5, and they have to have Innervate or something else to get it out. So, I mean, the nerf is still very much appreciated. I'm very happy that it was nerfed. A little bit sad about the kind of nerf, but it's not. I have no real complaints. I'm glad that it was nerfed.
Yeah. So as we have had 2 nerfs so far in this expansion, on the new expansion, the Scholomance Academy. And it just begs the question, do you believe that there'll be any more? Are there any other cards that you'd like to see that should be nerfed, or is this it? What do you think?
Well, I think that the odds of do you know when the next expansion is coming out? Have they disclosed any of that information? I think it's
December 10th, at least. Maybe December.
Okay, December. Okay,
I
just
said December 10th. I'm like December 10th. I don't know. I think it is. Yeah. I
think it's gonna be roughly 2 months, probably. I think this last one has only been out for 2 or something. I don't actually fully know, but just so bear with me on that. But I think that in a fairly long period of time, there should be at least one more set of nerfs, and the thing that I think should be still nerfed is probably still against Sorcerer's Apprentice or Evocation. If you look on the tier list on Hype Horizen, Tempo Mage is listed as number 1, and that's before some of the other classes that are in the top 8 get nerfed. Survival Druid and Turtle Mage are 4 and 7 respectively. They're both getting nerfed, which will limit some of the competition in the meta, and the number 1 deck still being Tempo Mage and probably getting stronger with some of the other top decks being nerfed. I think that Sorcerer's Apprentice and Evocation will still be a massive problem. I talked about this with Rarin, actually, when we did a collab a week ago, and I was saying I think Evocation should be nerfed and not be 1 mana, so it can't be randomly generated. And Rarin was saying that Sorcerer's Apprentice should be nerfed because of the common denominator of a lot of these combos in Wild and Standard has been Sorcerer's Apprentice making cards free. Then Sorcerer's Apprentice is the problem. So as long as one of those things gets nerfed, I think that that'll probably be one of the last targeted nerfs. In Hearthstone before the next expansion, and maybe something to Soul Demon Hunter, because that deck has been a menace recently. At least in my opinion, I've been doing well with it, and I've been getting beat by it a lot. It just seems really strong. So probably those two.
I got to talk about the Sorcerer's Apprentice, though, man. Is what you're talking about is a core Hearthstone card. I mean, Sorcerer's Apprentice has been in the game forever, right? So remember how long it took them to nerf the Leroy Jenkins and not nerf it, but Hall of Fame it, right? Took it a long time to get that out of there. So
Hall of Faming is an interesting idea. Maybe just they you know what? We're not even going to nerf it. It's going to be too limiting for us in terms of in the future how we can design cards. So we're just going to Hall of Fame it. That would be weird.
Yeah, I mean, I would be Wow, that's interesting, right? I have a feeling that it's more likely to be Hall of Fame than it is Nerf because you change the complete dynamic of the game by nerfing it, but you also change it by Hall of Faming it. And what it does is it kind of, if you Hall of Fame it, you probably have a better chance of just being able to change the game and make the game evolve. That in other words, it would be less work for them to have to play around
to just Hall of Fame it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a Hall of Fame on Sorcerer's Apprentice, but I wouldn't be surprised either with the nerf because they did do way back before the Hearthstone crew that's in there now. Team 5 has been a lot more aggressive. The first nerf that they did that was like to the classic cards that I saw. Remember when they did Wild Growth? They went from 2 to 3 mana. And that was pretty crazy. That's something that kind of really
Nourish a classic card too, or a basic card. Because they nerfed that as well from I think 5 to 6. Or maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're wrong.
No, I think I'm right.
You're completely right. It was a 5 mana card draw, and it went to 6. And also the other card that I mentioned, Wild Growth, also went from 2 to 3. And guys, these are Druid cards. Forgive Ecore because he hates Druids, so don't get mad at him. Don't get mad at him.
Yeah, this is also when I was first starting to get back into the game because I was like, "What's happening?" I didn't because I took a break for a while and played mostly Arena, so I wasn't super involved in the meta at that point.
Yeah. I was looking at I'm looking at Wild Growth right now. Wild Growth is a classic card. And then which you can see it went from 2 to 3, I remember. And then the other one you said that was from 5
Nourish from 5 to 6.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was. I know for a fact because I used to love to play the Nourish in some of the other like strong Druid decks. And I remember thinking, oh my God, the card's dead. But yes, that's also a classic card as well. And it went from 5 to 6. I remember that. So you used to be able to cheat that out on turn 3 or something. And the other card too that actually, if we're talking about Druid cards, that went to was nerfed was Innervate as well.
Innervate, yeah.
Yep.
Dude, I find it so frustrating that like 2 years. This was like 2 or so years ago. Blizzard was like, you know what, ramp is a problem. We're going to nerf it. We don't want this style of play to happen for Druid ever again. This was super unhealthy. People complained about it a ton. And then, like, the very next year came out with Overgrowth, which is just objectively better Wild Growth now. Like, it's actually just a really strong card to ramp 2 for 4 mana. It basically just... Because mana... Nourish used to be 2 mana crystals as well, but for 5. This was 2, but for 4... So it was just better in most situations.
You mentioned
it was so ironic. Like they're like, this is a problem, and then less than a year later, they're like, actually, you know what? We're gonna do it. We didn't learn from our mistakes. We're just gonna do the same exact thing again, and people are gonna complain about it, but we're not gonna do anything about it until like it gets really bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? Because I'm all about conspiracy theories and stuff today, and if you could see the video we did over on the other on Ecore's channel. Listen, I'm not a moron, I promise, but I got another conspiracy, right? This is for fun. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but I just like making up stuff. You know, that's just the way I'm just trying to be creative. Anyway, remember the Boomsday expansion, Dr. Boom and stuff like that. What was it called? It was called the Lab, right? They had the Boomsday Lab and stuff like that, and there was all like the little students and stuff that like lab students and like lab testing and all that, right? I think that we're all just one big freaking test for Hearthstone Team 5. They just got us in there. We're like a ton of lab. We're like hamsters and lab rats and all that stuff. And Team 5 is just toying with us. They make cards that are 4 mana. They go from 3 to 4 mana that do crazy things. They nerf giants. They put this card down. Everything changes just so that they can screw with us from week to week. But you know what's the good part about it? Is that Ecore and I have new content to talk about every single week. We'll be doing this show.
That's true.
So
that is helpful.
We will see.
That is nice.
We'll see you again. And if you like this this content, I always ask, please give a thumbs up and make sure also to give it a like as well, because it helps with the algorithm. It helps grow the channel. And make sure that you get over to Ecore's channel and see the other videos and all the great content that he's doing. I mean, the guy is churning out like 3, 4, 5 videos, not a week. I'm talking a day. I think I saw 3 or 4 videos go up there. Don't know how he does it.
It's tiring. That's how I do it.
Yeah, that's what he does. So
I'm like, content or sleep, man.
Keep grinding, keep Hearthstone meta, keep it going, keep it real. Everybody have a good week, and we will see you next Wednesday on the Hearthstone Meta Hype with Ecore. Ecore is over there.
See ya.
And Venga. We'll see you next week, bro.